back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath, and I am so excited to share some energy with you today. After the passing of Betty White, it really caused me to do a deep dive because I loved her so much, and I shared that in one of my videos. The same moment that I found out she passed away, I went live and made a video a few minutes afterwards. And there have been so many little nuggets and lessons that have come out of it. And I know that just probably my core audience will see this, but I wanted to share it with you because for you who do decide to click on this video, there's so much good food, and it's directly from the mouth of Betty White. The message here is to live every day. Don't waste it away. Now, I love love, and you guys know that I work with people getting themselves to the best love for themselves. And then after they've found that love for themselves, then into relationships. It's one of my specialties. The thing about it is that Betty White teaches me all the time, always did. But upon her death, I really was like, this woman, so wise. And this is an article I read years ago, and it was actually saved. And I came back upon it because that's how the universe works. My angels brought it back my way because they wanted me to teach you. And I'm actually going to read you the article. It's an article from the Closer or Closer, which is a magazine, Closer Weekly, and it was from 2017. All right, and December 30th, 2017, at 8 a.m. Wow. I don't remember exactly the day that Betty passed, but it was pretty close to almost the end of the year. Very interesting. Anyway, I didn't even make that connection until just now. And I'm going to read it to you, and I'm going to stop at the pertinent points. But what I want to start with is the quote that arrested my spirit, and my angel said that you needed to know. She said specifically, I wasted a whole year that Alan and I could have had together, saying, no, I wouldn't marry him. No, I won't. No, I won't leave California. No, I won't move to New York. She once confessed, I wasted a whole year we could have had together. Betty White in her life has said that is her only regret. She lived a wonderful life, as many of us can attest, and as her friends and family and close loved ones can attest. But that was her one regret. Now, I made another video, terrible sound quality, very early in the morning or late at night, I don't remember, where it was talked about that her last words upon crossing over were Alan, Alan, Alan. And I think the title of the video is just a couple videos down, and it's like True Love Never Dies. Betty White and Alan eternally, kind of like that scrawling into the tree. That energy. So when she crossed over recently, the last words that were heard, that people heard her saying, was Alan, 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 as I believe he came to greet her and take her on to the next level of her journey. And I'm going to read you this article, and maybe you'll understand why she held that for so many years of her life. But that was so interesting to me. So it says, in a life filled with so much joy and laughter and great success, Betty White had only one regret, and it had to do with her late husband, Alan London. And that's where she said she wasted that whole year. And still, it's no surprise that Betty White moved cautiously in matters of the heart. And let me tell you why it's no surprise for those of you listening. Betty White is a Capricorn. Capricorns don't enter into things lightly or easily. They take things very seriously, and they commit fully when they do. I have been so loving Capricorn energy lately in my life. It showed up in my bestie, and it's in my husband, and I have never felt more supported, actually, and anchored. Now, that's not for everybody, but listen, if you ever have had a Capricorn love you right, it's beautiful. So she did things slowly. She moved cautiously. The star had weathered two failed marriages by her 20s. So by the time she met Alan on the set of a popular game show, Password, in 1961, she felt a little wary about love. She said, I guessed it on Passwords the third week it was on the air, she recalled, and she was immediately impressed with Alan's kindness, and on camera and off. He was never too busy to say a warm goodbye after the last show finished, she remembered. Betty appeared on the show several times, and the two became good friends. Not long after, the actress agreed to star opposite her new friend in a summer stock play called Critics' Choice, being performed in Massachusetts and Maine. She said, he said, I fell in love with her opening night, recalled Alan, a father of three who had lost his first wife, Margaret, to cancer the year before. From the start, the pair had a certain chemistry. Even Alan's then young children, David, Martha, and Sarah, who are now in their 60s, had accompanied them to New England and felt it. And they said, "We all had a very good time together," recalled Betty, from whom the kids were had convinced to drop into, the kids had convinced her to drop into the lake via a rope swing. And even though Betty White didn't swim, she rose to the challenge, screaming all the way, the kids said. Alan and his family returned to New York when the summer ended, while Betty headed home to California, yet the couple continued to court via a long distance relationship. I want to stop there. A lot of us that have been in long distance relationships knows the energy that it takes to be in that, and how you have to go out of your way to keep connected. I have had long distance relationships with a lover early in my 20s, and then we ended up living together, and then also with besties where I'd have to cultivate and keep the connection flowing. It's something you can do, but you have to have two willing parties. So I just a message for anybody wondering if it's feasible. It is, but you also have to know your love style. Do you need to have someone right next to you, or are you comfortable with that? That's just the way my life was set up. That I often had very long distance connections, May December romances, where people were very far away from me across the world, across the country, and I had to kind of figure out how to make that work. So I'm very comfortable and know it can work, but it only works if someone wants to work it with you. So message for someone there. But they continued to court long distance, and on several occasions, Alan asked for Betty's hand in marriage, but she kept saying no. In love as I was, in love that I was, nonetheless, marrying and moving east was still not in the equation, she recalled. Alan, however, truly believed that he was selling and kept the pressure on. Finally, on Easter, Alan mailed animal loving Betty a stuffed white bunny wearing gold, flower shaped earrings adorned with tiny diamonds, rubies, and sapphires. Along with this sweet gift was a note which said, "Please say yes." Betty's heart melted. And when Alan called, she let him know that she would be his bride. She said it wasn't the earrings that did it, Betty White related. It was the goddamn bunny. I still have it. She probably had it to the day she died. The couple married at the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas on June 14th, 1963, and began one of showbiz's happiest collaborations. We were married by the same judge, David Zeno, who had joined Grant Tinker and married Tyler Moore the previous year, Betty remembered. They moved along with Alan's three children and the family's two chocolate poodles to Chappaqua, New York, where everyone struggled to adjust. Betty confesses she suffered from secret, intermittent waves of homesickness, while Alan's daughter Martha went through a rebellious period, according to the report. Martha was young and opposed to marriage, and Alan used to argue with her constantly. Let's talk about that. Sometimes when we're merging lifestyles or homes or people with something, we will not always like their family. We will not always initially like their kids. Usually they'll have to grow on us, and usually it will happen if it's meant to. But imagine that young woman losing her mother to cancer and watching her dad fall really madly in love in a way that she probably hadn't even seen in his own marriage with her mother, and she wanted to push Betty away. She was struggling. So it wasn't all easy. Just because Betty White had the love of her life, everything wasn't perfect in their life and in their love. And it was Betty who was a stalemate for a good year, that she regretted because she wasted that year, she said. And it wasn't wasted, that was the course of their love. But I say this to you to alarm and alert anybody that is playing mind games with themselves about someone that you love. I have had it done. I have done it probably too. I gotta be honest, I will say I'm less on the side of saying that I've done it, because when I love boldly. If I'm into you, I tell you directly. I'm very like forward about how my style is. That's just me. However, I know that I've dealt with people personally that have not always been the same. I've dealt with people that have held back in feelings and all the rest of it. And so if it got toxic, I would just have to disembark from it. So many rom-coms are built on this very story of one person knowing and the other not, and both living miserable lives. I just actually was watching Emily in Paris with my bestie over the holidays, and it's like one of our favorite shows because we went to Paris and everything. And it's all about like menage a trois menopauses and not necessarily polyamory, because in Paris I think they do it better than we do here. There's understandings and everything. Anyway, if you haven't watched it, check out the show. But the second season is all about Emily holding back her love for this guy, and they are in love with each other in a weird way, but there is a triangulation of someone else that he does also love, that is more safe, that is more comfortable, that is more familiar, etc., etc. And she holds it back and does all of this self-sabotaging stuff by trying to reconnect him with who she thinks is his right love, instead of taking a chance for herself to see what it is. And also selfish and wild, and there's a lot of things to be said about that. But what I want to say here is, so many of us play that game and we mess up things for ourselves because we don't embark on what the feeling is, and we don't seize it. And that's what Betty White's trying to convey to us here. That's the message from her from beyond, is if you love someone, don't waste time playing games. We don't live forever. But I'll carry on. To make matters worse, Betty lost her beloved father just months into her new marriage, and very close to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, which plunged the whole country into a wave of grief. Yet these traumas and kind of drew the newlyweds closer. She said, "It finally penetrated my thick skull that Alan and I were a unit," Betty said. "From that day forward, any problem we had came from the outside, and Alan taught me to stop running." Come on, Betty. Come teach a word over here. Thank you, sweet angel Betty. That is powerful. She said Alan taught her to stop running. A good partner will sit your ass down in a good way, in the best way. I once watched Paula White, who I disagree with in every other vein, but there was one message that I heard from her many years ago in the 90s, before she was actually insane. She's a Caucasian preacher. That was like one of the last in the faith-based ministries, the televangelist. Anyway, you might know her from some such hits as Angels from Africa. Anyway, I'll leave that there. But she once said about her husband, who she later divorced, but she was running and she had a lot of issues of promiscuity and whatever. And her husband was a pastor and was like, "I'm going to stick beside you. I'm going to invest into you." And for many, many years, almost 19, they were married. And he really did do what he said he was going to do. And she said, "He taught me how to be calm and still and love myself. He was good to me." And it was something she couldn't even give herself at the time. And then she grew into. So, I always say that we all have redeeming qualities, whether we hate somebody or not, or like them or disagree with their politics. That was a powerful message for me about how love can be. And I've experienced it as well. And I hope that you can too. But this is what happened with Betty. She was the runner in their relationship. There will always be a runner-chaser dynamic. Someone that doesn't get it, someone that knows right away. I know right away if someone's my somebody, or if there's a connection or whatever, even if they're lying about it to themselves, or they're denying it, or they can't figure out the logistics. That's what Betty did. And that's why this is interesting, because I've always sainted Betty. So it was interesting that this caught my eye all those years ago when I saved it in my email, and for it to only come full circle now for me, and I get it even deeper. Then it was just an interesting article. Now it's been my life story. I totally understand what it is to have someone be in resistance to love that's right in front of them, or to have someone run away and sabotage it or whatever. And that's what Betty was saying that she did. So when she says it finally permeated my thick skull that we were a unit, and we were going to work together, and any problems we ever have was going to come from the outside, not from me creating them. In a runner-chaser dynamic, somebody will create the issues. Someone, the runner, will create the resistance, the issues. They might include third parties. They might take advice from other people. They might make the distance an issue, like Betty said she did. She didn't want to give up her life and what was comfortable for her. She didn't want to integrate with these new kids that hated her, or well, at least one that was struggling with her. And these were all valid reasons. She was strong. She was autonomous. She was independent. She was successful, and she wondered if marriage was the right thing for her after two had failed. But she was right, because Alan was sent into her life as an agent of change to ground and calm her, and he taught her to stop running. It's so powerful. That's when a twin flame dynamic actually works. It's rare that we see it happen, and even they had to live the excruciating pain of separation when he crosses over with cancer, because in twin flame dynamics that will usually happen. There will be some separation, whether it's third party or outside or inside. Something will happen, but they were no longer at each other's necks. She was no longer pushing him away. She gave him respect, and he was her partner, and that's where she thrived. Let's carry on. Betty continues. While Alan continued his work As one of America's most successful game show hosts, Betty became a popular celebrity guest, making frequent appearances on What's My Line, I've Got a Secret, and a variations of passwords that appear on the air throughout the 1960s and early 70s. When Betty wasn't working, she and her mom Tess would often watch Alan tape shows from the audience. The couple also sought every opportunity to collaborate, co-starring in the 1963 romantic comedy Janice. And when they can't, he says, when they can't be together at work, they call each other from their dressing rooms, recalled the game show producer Lynn Boland. In 1968, they moved to California. Let me go back there. When they can't be together at work, so she was in the audience, she's watching his shows, she's paying attention, she's hanging out with her and her mom, Tess. I love that name. She's hanging out with her and her mom, Tess. They're spending time. She loved her man. When you find a good partner, you want to be with them. You don't avoid them. You're not creeped out by them. You're not frustrated. It doesn't mean everything's perfect, but she loved her man and she supported him in every way. And this is the thing about relationships, long distance or right on top of each other, communication and purposeful connection matter. They called each other in the dressing rooms. How romantic is that? Now, any of us that have regular best friend connections understand that. Like, we talk to our bestie all throughout the day. Hey girl, what are you doing? How did it go today? What's life like? And some days there's nothing to report. It's business as usual. And some days your bestie might really need you to check in because maybe they're not even checking in the way that they need to. And I'm going to give myself as an example here. I'm so used to self-soothing and taking care of everyone else. When God put the Alan equivalent of a bestie in my life, someone that taught me to stop running, because I actually tried to run even from my bestie currently because I was damaged. Really, I was just like Betty in that way, thinking like, I've already done this a couple times. It wasn't love related, but it was friendship related. But I was like, I've had besties that just had one betrayed the shit out of me, and I don't know how to do this. And I remember having a really like strong moment with her a couple years ago, and she was like, are you trying to get away from me or break up with me? Bestie breakups, you guys understand what I'm saying. And she called me on my shit like a good bestie will. And the thing about it that really got to my heart was that no matter how crazy I was being, I was like a wounded animal, like cue Sarah McLachlan in The Arms of the Angel. I was a hot, broken mess from the way that someone had did me. And God bless, they sent me the right bestie, because this person happens to be a fantastic dog mama, and she knew how to take care of my wounded soul. And she was gentle with me, and she knew that I would recoil and not trust her in certain ways. And there were times when it was mind games that I was playing with myself because I was so used to being played. I thought, she can't be this good. She can't be this nice. This can't really be right. And she called me out. Don't run. Why are you running? From like, I'm not going anywhere, she said. And she meant that. And she stuck beside me in a really traumatic time because I was like, I don't have the energy. I can't do this, etc., etc. This is something that happens. And so you build a connection. So when that connection gets to a good point, so Betty stopped running, I stopped running. When that connection gets to a good point, those normal check-ins are really good. And when you don't even need the check-in, it's still good because it means that there is connection. The check-in is connection. That's what I guess I'm trying to say. And it's built from even a person wanting to run away. And there will always be different runner-chaser dynamics inside of one relationship. Both partners at some point will play the runner or the chaser, or the runner or the chaser, until they coalesce and they're like, oh, we're partners and this is what's best. So that's the message for someone here that needs that. So when they moved to California, where Betty settled into her Emmy-winning run playing Sue Ann Knives on the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and they reveled in their happy home life. She said, we loved our vacation time together. Wow, I love that. She remembered Betty, a favorite getaway became Carmel, California, where Betty and Alan decided to build their own home. When Alan was trying to talk me into getting married, he would say, I'll build you a house in Carmel. Boy, did he ever, Betty recalled. People that love you and your partners that are really there for you keep their promises. And they seek out ways to fulfill your greatest desires or fantasies. This is even just in a platonic relationship. I've experienced it. And so, and they'll surprise you with things that you know that you love. Today, I woke up and I was feeling away. You guys know I'm recovering from something, and I'm often and every single day, unfortunately, in pain through this recovery. It will come to an end someday. But my husband surprised me. It was $5 sushi. My husband, a frugal Capricorn, knows a good deal. And he bought me home a couple of my favorite selections. And I didn't ask him for it. He just did it as a surprise. Good partnership will edify you in that kind of way. Regarding Bestie, my bestie has found beautiful ways to surprise me. Is always thinking of things, anticipating my needs, and creating experiences, because I love experiences and I love travel. She likes experiences and travel. So we're both always trying to create experiences for each other, especially recently here over the holidays. I want to leave her always feeling happy and loved and supported, and like everything that she ever wants. It's like the deep desire of her heart is fulfilled. That's what happens when love is real, when connections are real, when partnerships are real. People will seek out to please you, and you won't have to beg them to, and you won't have to like remind them to. I didn't have to say anything to my husband except for, "Oh my gosh, thank you, my favorite thing," and reconcile myself with the carbs. But and to my bestie in the ways that she surprised me. I made a video a while ago where I said God will restore the years that the locusts had eaten, and my bestie booked tickets for us to have tea in London at a place that was like from Highclere Castle, which is Downton Abbey, if any of you guys watch it, which was like a freaking fantasy and a dream. And I didn't ask her to, I didn't beg her to, she just did it because she loved me. That's good partnership and good promises kept. These are the energies you want to manifest in your life. When I say that, it's people that follow through and seek to treat you right, but it means it must be reciprocal. I love when she talks about they love their vacation time and travel together. That means everything to me. I like one-on-one time usually with my bestie. That is very important to me, like just connection. But I also don't mind family sometimes. Sometimes that's wonderful to have everybody be included. And we've had a lot of good family stuff and all the rest of it. Also with my husband, that matters to me. And so sometimes you don't always feel like that's going to be a reality. And then one day I just traveled for the whole month with my husband. It was amazing. And it was my reality. So do not be dismayed if things don't seem like they're going to be the way you think initially, or it's not starting out that way, because God has a way of growing you into it if it's the right partnership or connection, bestie, husband, friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife for you. Okay. So anyway, he did follow through. In the midst of planning their dream house, Alan was tragically diagnosed with terminal stomach cancer. So neither radiation nor chemotherapy ordered hope. And after much consultation, we opted against either one, remembered Betty. We decided to move on and make the most of every day for whatever time we had together. The pair spent a lovely summer continuing to make plans for their caramel house and even co-starring on an episode of The Love Boat. Soon we'll be making another run. So that's 1968 when he was diagnosed, okay? Construction of their home was finally completed in February of 1981, or I may be missing the dates when he was diagnosed. Although Alan had taken a turn for the worse, we took him back up to see the house finished. Remember, Betty? He slept there 2 nights. Alan died 4 months later at age 63. Betty, then 59, found herself alone, but thankful for the years they had together. She says, and this is from beyond the grave now, this is her speaking to you directly for anyone listening. Listen to these words, and I quote, "You better realize how good life is while it's happening," advises Betty, because before you know it, it will be gone. I'll say it again. You better realize how good life is while it's happening, because before you know it, it will be gone. How poignant now that she is gone. But she loved Alan all along. And that's why this has, I wouldn't say it's haunted me in the best way. I think Betty has wanted me to make some communication here. I'm not saying she's come to me directly. She hasn't. But I've just felt the spirit of her since the second she passed. I always knew her passing would be significant, but I thought it was going to be for different reasons. It's so funny. And now I see it completely differently. I totally understand why I love Betty. My connection to Betty. In the aftermath of Alan's death, the actress threw herself back into work and her charities. She never remarried. "I miss having someone to hold," she said and confessed, "but if you've had the best, who needs the rest?" Come on, message. That's not to say that if someone passes, that it's not okay to move on. That if you're a widow or a widower, you don't want love again. But for Betty, for whatever reason, Alan was her real soulmate, as attested to in her final moments when she spoke his name and she probably crossed over directly to be greeted and received by him. That's a love so powerful that Betty's teaching master classes even now that she's gone. That's what I am here to teach you and to help you carry on and hold on to. Sometimes you will be loved so good by somebody that the prospect of anybody else is just maybe a placeholder. And Betty, I guess, knew that anybody else for her would be a placeholder. Some might argue that Betty lived in her grief too long and that she should have moved on. But for Betty, she lived a very fulfilling life. Could any of us say she didn't get it right? 99. She understood the assignment. So I think that she had a love that stood the test of time, and she did not want to betray her sweet, beautiful Alan that passed away. As I think of it, it parallels Rose Nyland. Isn't that interesting? Her character had Miles, who she loved deeply, or was that her husband? George, was it George? I think, I don't know. I don't want to get the names wrong. Gosh, oh my gosh, I'm failing my Golden Girl trivia. She loved someone who passed away in the show. And we saw Rose date throughout the show. And there was one guy that she went on the cruise with. Maybe his name was Miles, that she actually started to connect with. But it was really interesting to me, the parallels of her life, that Rose never really was the one who remarried on that show that I'm aware of, or did she? Okay, but it took a long time anyway. I think Betty was working out cathartically some of that pain. That message, that's a little aside there. In any case, she says she misses having someone to hold, but when you had the best, who needs the rest? At the peak of fame on the Golden Girls, Betty often received letters from other widows seeking advice, and she faithfully replied to each one. She said, "There's no formula. Keep busy with your work and your life," which Betty, as a Capricorn, specifically did. You can't become a professional mourner. It doesn't help you or others. Keep the person in your heart all the time. Replay the good times. Be grateful for the years that you had. Come on, Betty. I mean, that's a rhema word. I hope so many listen to this. And the reason I say that is because so many of us need this message about relationships, about holding space for them, about knowing when someone's the quote unquote one. Here's the thing. We will have many opportunities to have connections and soulmates, and many times feel like someone's the one. But when you get a one that's really the one, you will never forget it. That soul tie and that connection can never be undone. They will not disrespect it. Even if they push it away for a while because they don't get it, they will at some point come to their senses and coalesce with you and come together with you. And it won't be run. It won't be runner chaser dynamics. It won't be narcissist and empath. It will be someone who has your back, who calls you on your ish. That powerful moment with my bestie changed things, because even though I was coming from wild, reckless trauma and a lot of weirdness, she wouldn't allow it to infect our relationship. She held her ground. She had a backbone. She had great morals. And she also was like, "You're not going anywhere," but in the best non-toxic way. And she's like, "I'm not going anywhere. We're here. And this is that." And I needed that because at that time I was wild. I was rabies filled essentially from my past relationship, which was still infecting me. And I was so like not seeing clearly, which is not me. I didn't see her. I saw her as potentially dangerous, honestly. I was like, "You seem very familiar. And what if you're just like her? And what if you're going to do the same thing to me?" And the truth is, they couldn't be more different. And the truth was, I was in real trauma, but I didn't realize it because I've never been hurt so badly before in my life. So I didn't understand that I was acting out of a very skewed version of myself and a very skewed vision. I didn't have clarity. Sometimes when someone hurts you that way, you might sabotage the next relationship. Thank God my ancestors and angels love me, because they literally came in with the alley oop and they told her the day exactly what I needed to hear. She didn't know that I'd listened to that sermon from Paula White years ago, and that I had always been waiting for someone to come into my life that was like, "You're not going to run from a good connection." She didn't say it exactly like that, but man, when she did say it, did I have to straighten my back and sit up and say, "Oh my God, this is not a coincidence. This is really actually one of my persons." Okay, we have many persons in many different capacities and different veins, right? But that bestie came in to, man, I mean, to help save my life. And it was a beautiful connection. And I imagine that no matter what life offers for us, that we'll figure out a way to kind of traverse it, because partnership in any real form keeps you moving in the right direction. The same thing with your spouse, the same thing with good family members that you love, the same thing with good friends, acquaintances, etc. You fill in the blank for you. But if someone can call you on the crazy that you might want to do, they might be a keeper, because it's not abusive when they do it. I don't think that Alan was abusive in his pursuit for Betty. I think he was consistent. I think he knew that it was his partner. I think a lot of us sometimes know when someone's going to be in our life. We know, like, we hear it right away, and then we can either either run away from that or we can stick and stay. And sometimes, if we're coming from, as Betty was, traumatic backside stories, we might think this is a new allegory, this is a new repeat. I do not want to be on my knees again, bloodied and broken. So I'm just going to say no thank you and push away from the table. But that table was literally prepared for you to succeed. The best blessings have come in my life from my association, just energetically, with my bestie. I feel loved. I feel taken care of. Also with my husband. You understand? And so, and even in that dynamic, I'll maybe tell a story about that someday, but there was a push and pull and a yes and no, and should I run and stay? So these are all things that will come your way in this lifetime. I love love. I love the eternal love. This thing with Betty has got me lit up because it makes me realize that everything I've ever taught about or been downloaded to give to you is absolutely true. It exists. You can have love in this life. It's not just for when you cross over. Betty did not live a sad life just because she held Alan in her heart for those umpteen 30 plus years until she crossed over. He died at 59. She died at 99, almost 40 years before she crossed over. She held that man in her heart, but she worked every day. She made us laugh every day. She went and played. She was thought of as one of the best. We deemed her a national treasure. Betty wanted for nothing. And can you imagine the people, the men that wanted to date her, that wanted to be with her, that would have absolutely adored her? She knew it too. She knew her power. She knew her worth. But for whatever reason, maybe even for this example at this time, she was an example of divine love, and she held out for the one she actually loved. It's such a message. The other message here is from the beginning of the story. If you know that you love somebody, stop playing games. If you know that you are passionate about someone, go after it. If you know that you care about them, if you're attracted to them, whether it's platonic or sexual, act on it. What did Betty say to you? It's too short. Enjoy every day, because one day it all goes away. I make a point to say to any spouse that I'm with, whatever has been, enjoy me in this iteration and in this incarnation, because someday something might change. I say to my husband all the time, do you know how lucky we are? Because we have each other, because through both of our stubbornness and our resistance and both of our fear of commitment, we ended up in a relationship against all odds, with me being very open about my sexuality. For those of you who know, I'm bisexual, and I'm proud of it, and I didn't have to not be that to have the person that I do care about. And it doesn't mean that I'm not attracted to other people when I'm out walking out, like looking around. We are normal, we are humans, but I got a partnership with someone who values me. And I tell him every day, do you know that we're lucky? Because things in our life have changed, even in our marriage. And I don't mean in any bad way, just like life was thrown at us. Like Betty said, anything that has come at us has come from the outside. Things with my medical health this year, or last year rather, I speak, oh, nothing but health this year over me, but last year, that we could not have predicted, that like I almost died. For better or worse, y'all, became really real to me. And I'm so glad that I fought for a thing, because he showed up in a way that I did not expect it from him. He showed up. And even in the challenges, when I felt like he wasn't showing up all the way, God said, ding, ding, we're talking to him. Don't worry, he's on the way. And he was. God is good, man. Be good to the person you're with, even if it's not going to last in your mind, or even if you can't make it reconcile. Be grateful for the people you have in your life, because when they go away one day, if they go away, and listen, here's the reality, we all go away. So whether it's from an outside split or an inside split, or it is from sickness, unfortunately, sometimes that somebody that you resisted so much will no longer be, and you will be in deep remorse and regret. I think Betty was able to live her life because she had no regrets, except for that one. She wished she had an extra year. Boy, can I relate to knowing that I have loved people or wanted to be close to people, and maybe if I had pushed them away or hadn't pushed them away. I will say I don't live in too much regret. I can relate to that emotion. I look at other people and sometimes I feel sad because I know other people feel things and they don't like act on them, or they're not like living what their best situation is. What I'm talking about, clients, to everybody that I counsel, the kids, everybody. I can see when we all are making these allowances for ourselves. Fortunately, that's just my gift. However, I try not to live in that. When I have a bestie, I'm like, girl, do you know how much I adore and and I'm grateful for you, but it has to be earned. It doesn't come immediately, right? When someone has really shown me their real reality, I let them know profusely. I am so loyal and so grateful. To my husband, I am so grateful for your energy. To my mother, who shows up faithfully. Wow, I am lucky to have a mother who is in her 70s, who still calls me every day. God bless America. And I think about that when I am doing the thing we all do, and we're like, am I going to pick up for mom today because I'm busy or because whatever? Because there'll be one day when my mom won't be here. And I will want that call. And I will be so grateful that I did pick up, no matter how I felt. Message, that's a message for someone here who needs to call their mom or talk to their parent or be appreciative of a parent that still cares about you, because we are lucky. There are a lot of parents that aren't here. I don't have a parent that's here physically that has crossed over, and I do have one that checks on me every day Jesus sends. And sometimes I have been ungrateful, but no more. That ended years ago. I get it. Thanks, Mom. I love you. What I'm telling you is Betty White has taught another masterclass today. Do not let your time slip away. And if you are in a love relationship and you are fighting it, or you're in an attractionship and you're fighting it, or you feel the pull to someone in great chemistry and it's delicious and you're fighting it because of all of the circumstances around that seem to not make it work, find a way, because love always finds a way. Maya says love leaps over buildings and fences and finds itself to itself. Let me see if I can find the quote here for you, because I don't want to get it wrong, and I think it's important to hear it. But it's something that I have on one of the sites that I freelance for. I have a quote of poetry that I enjoy. Hold on, let's see. And it is, oh, well, I'll just go to my site. How about that? My angels are like, hey, just do that. Much shorter cut than trying to, let me see. Yeah. Enjoy the people that are around you, because they are sent for a reason and a season. They may not always last, but tell them every day how grateful you are for them. When I leave any relationship, whether it's toxic or if it's just organic because life allows for it, one of the things that I don't usually have is regrets, because I know that in the relationship, I let the person know that I love them and I did my best. And so and that's been such a blessing for me. Any connection that I've had to have sever, whether I did it myself or it was done by somebody else, I don't feel like, what could I have done to save it? Because usually I do everything I can. That is just the way my brain is built. Not all of us operate that way. Some of us aren't as articulate. Some of us don't want to communicate. Some of us hide ourselves away. We compartmentalize. We all have a million reasons for doing the things that we do. But I am here as this big open heart conduit to tell you, love out loud. When you want someone, when you care about them, when you're appreciative of them, tell them all the time. That just happens to be my primary love language. Can you tell? Words of affirmation. Hey, have I told you guys listening I love you? And I think that I do in most of my videos. I am so grateful for the people that show up here, especially the people that show up on a regular basis. My God, I'm so grateful for you. It's so easy to get caught up in my ego, but then I think, my God, every day, 10 people show up and listen to something I have to say. Do you know how freaking cool that is? I am so grateful for you guys. And I mean that. Be in gratitude for the people that pour into your life, that love you, that show up when they don't have to. I want to mention Nolan89. I just sent a message to you today, and all the others that I usually talk about, and say, Tanisha and Emily and Natalie and everybody else. You guys know who you are, and I'm grateful for you because we support each other, and it's parasocial, but here we are. Look at us. It's that meme. Look at us. Who would have thought? I'm grateful. But here's the quote from Maya Angelou. Love recognizes no barriers. It jumps hurdles, leaps fences, penetrates walls to arrive at its destination full of hope. That is Maya Angelou, who was one of my emotional mentors, not in real life. Oprah was lucky to have her up close. I had her from afar and in my hand as a child in books that she wrote about escaping and being a caged bird. For those of you who know, you know. I have been loved and taught and mentored by some of the greats, even from distances far away if they never knew my name. That quote rings true for me, and I put that up on one of the sites I freelanced for years and years ago, probably back in 2016, And it's so powerful to read it today because I realized that that's exactly how I live my life. Love recognizes no barriers. The barrier in my life has been my color, my skin, my body, and people have let that be a barrier for them, but it was never a barrier for me. It jumps hurdles. I have jumped hurdles. It leaps fences. My God, won't love do it? It penetrates walls to arrive at its destination full of hope. I never go into a thing without thinking hope is somewhere in here. And even if I've been shown ultra ugliness and then felt despair, somehow, some way, the Spirit of God is in me. Another video message you might want to go listen to. That's like a rampage from God that my angels gave me. The Spirit of God lives in you. I believe in love and I believe in relationships. And I came here to incarnate into this earth form to teach and talk about it, but not just for myself, not just to lavish in the energy, but so that you can generate that energy for yourself too. Because this is your birthright, boo. You deserve love too. And if there's no one in your life loving you today, know who does. I do. I actually care about what's happening with you. I am grateful for you. I'm grateful that you still are here and life isn't over for you. And thank you, angels. They love you too, they said. Thank you. Life isn't over for you. Your angels and ancestors love you, and they are orchestrating great things for you. Things that you may not understand, things that didn't go as planned, but they're going to make a way out of no way because they always do, because they sit at the right hand of the Father. Amen. It is a prayer that leaves my lips for you. That if you haven't felt loved right, that you bring it in. I love that story. It is where my work begins. And when I get you to the connection that is right for you, when I say that, when I get you, when I say when I'm working with my clients, or even through the sound of my voice here, when I speak about this, it means that love is in your atmosphere, whether you realize it or not. Or that you might need to take a look around and see if you've taken something for granted. Or are you shoving your feelings down? You're here for a reason, empath. You're here to hear higher, Earth Angel. If you feel a way about someone, seize the day. Carpe diem. Do not let obstacles get in your way. It jumps hurdles. It leaps fences. It penetrates walls. It knows no barriers, and it arrives at its destination full of hope. There is a destination for you. There is a place. There is a time zone. There's an interface. You will collide with love. That's great. It's inevitable. We do not leave this life without experiencing it. Now, whether it's in the past or if it's going to be your next new bit, you decide. But if there is anything in your life that you're resisting that you know you want, don't. You will regret it. And the person that went after what they wanted won't. Because if you do all you can, that's all you can do. We have free will. You can't make anybody love you. You can't make anybody pour into you. You can't make anybody honor you. You can't make anybody be your good bestie. You can't make anybody be your good husband, wifey, girlfriend, you name it. But if there is love that you want, then claim it. Find a way. There's always a way. Take it from our dearly departed, sweetest earth angel, Betty. There's always a way. I love you guys so much. Come back and join me next time. Let's see here. And let's see. Hey, Belinda! Belinda! Hi, sweetie. Nice to see you. And Belinda's another one. She's another regular. And she's my fact checker. You guys have heard me talk about her before. She always keeps me right because, girl, I will say anything while I am channeling. I put dates at the wrong times and actors wrong names. And Belinda has been, I believe Belinda's a Capricorn. You see what I mean? These Capricorn people just, Belinda, are you a Capricorn or Aquarius? I don't want to get that wrong. I don't want to get that wrong. I want to say Belinda's a Capricorn. However, Capricorn energies have just been doing me right lately. God bless them. I'm so grateful for all that grounding earth energy. Come back and join me next time, and we will continue to evolve together. Aquarius. Okay, Aquarius. Aquarius. Also, Aquariuses have been doing me right too. I love my Aquariuses too, boo. Sorry, Belinda. I don't know why. I always think, Belinda, you have good manifestation for money energy. So there you go. Maybe that's why I have put that Capricorn description, but Aquarius is what Belinda is. And they are the humanitarians of the zodiac. They take care of people. So that's what Belinda does. She really does take care of me when she's over here, and I'm so grateful for her. All right, guys, come back and join me next time. We will continue to evolve together.